Radio traffic update.
Connect to your Seattle at Pier 62 with free events and programs all summer long. Family-friendly activities like music, art, dance, yoga, storytelling, fitness classes, and much more. All free for you to enjoy. Visit waterfrontparkseattle.org for the full summer schedule. That's waterfrontparkseattle.org. Connect to your Seattle at Pier 62. Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station.
This is Cindy Gray, the host of Heartbeat Radio.
This is Paul Thierson, host of Star
This
Time.
is Paul Schneiderman today on the 73rd edition.
Hey, y'all, welcome to
Rainier
Travelers
Avenue
Guide to
Radio.
Venus and Mars. Princess Robin.
Risha Free Von Mothers. Yes, don't be
Dirty
too loud.
Harry.
Your home for information about the impact of the
And
coronavirus.
amongst many things that's difficult about this virus is that it prevents
it's been
people from
devastating.
gathering. So
There are really heartbreaking stories of people who have.
There isn't anyone that isn't impacted.
shutting our schools down, including all athletic programs.
Your firsthand accounts.
The idea was to check, and I found out that I was positive.
A lot of people who know me, I'm still the first person they know.
But it was almost like you were patient zero for South Seattle. Your stories of community coming together.
Partner very heavily with Tacoma Urban League, who is doing some amazing work in response.
We're doing things for small businesses. We're giving out loans for small businesses.
And so I think it's very important that we have leaders who feel
I cannot tell you, we're calling 20, 30, 40
this
members.
crisis in our community. We've been working to address it.
Rainier Avenue Radio, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
DJ Dirty John.
Karen Z with Rainier Avenue Radio.
Hey, this is Sergio Cool. Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
RainierAvenueRadio.org. We got you covered. Local impact, global presence.
Broadcast. Welcome to RainierAvenueRadio.world and our weekly coverage of the impact on communities. Continuation of our series. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us again here. And then again, now we are aware of the fact that we are and more folks listening to that.
RainierAvenueRadio.world is your 24/7 digital media hub. Tune in at RainierAvenueRadio.world. Also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and TuneIn apps.
All right. Let's see here. I think I'm having a bit of an audio issue. I'll tell you what, Daniel. Why don't we just go to break real quick?
It's just your headphones. That's it.
There we go. Okay. Welcome to this week's edition of the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. It's me, Tony B. And yes, of course, as always, we've got a great show planned for you this morning, or actually it's this afternoon. At this point, joining me is going to be Miriam Ali. Miriam Ali is from SDOT. Why are we talking about SDOT? Well, school's about to start. And Miriam will be here to talk about some things that are happening with SDOT in regard to school starting. A little later in the program, we're also going to be talking to Scott Itano from Kaiser Permanente. And we'll have a general discussion about what's happening with coronavirus, with the vaccine, with the health of our communities. Then we're going to have a conversation with Alicia Kennedy. and she is the founder of the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party. It will be opportunity to share information about what's going on at the block party. Talk about how they're managing to put this on this year, despite COVID. And by the way, we have new restrictions that are going to be taking place. And you're going to find out all about those, as well as we'll be sharing the press briefing with you with Jeffrey Duchin, the health officer for Public Health Seattle King County, and also Dr. Steve Mitchell, who's the director of emergency services at Harborview Medical Center and the medical director of Washington Medical Coordination Center. So a lot to talk about today, a lot of information to share with you from our communities. Just, you know what we do. We've been doing this since March 13th, 2020. And here we are still doing this again today. So at this point, I'd like to welcome to the program Miriam Ali. Miriam, welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Under the circumstances, Miriam, fantastic.
That's great.
And how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm just glad it's Friday.
Okay. Well, the SDOT, and folks may be saying, well, SDOT, you know, tell us what this has to do with the coronavirus. Well, for one, school is starting again. Exactly. And as we know, coronavirus has impacted pretty much everything that we do. And the other part about it is just letting parents know as they send their children back to school what's going on, and creating that awareness. So thank you for being here. Let's start with this. Seattle Department of Transportation. For anyone who doesn't know who you are, what you do, what SDOT is, and I'm calling it SDOT, but Seattle Department of Transportation, what do you do?
So pretty much we help, build safer roads and streets for the city of Seattle. We make sure those roads are maintained, or if we need to upgrade them or update them based on, the maintenance of it. And then just also encourage, not only the roads, but, encourage biking, walking, and using and rolling to and from wherever your location is. So anything related to roads and streets, we're there. That's what SDOT handles. So.
Okay. And in general, in the process of doing this, there have been some changes in some of the roadways that people have seen, have noticed, I'm sure, at this time. Let's talk about, just that. In doing what you do as the Department of Transportation, how has the coronavirus, the pandemic in general, impacted the work you do, the way that you do the work that you do, and how you have to work with community in this process?
Well, as safety is always our number one priority at SDOT. So we want to encourage everyone to, drive safely. If they're driving, pay attention, follow the road signs and speed limit, as well as if you're walking or biking to and from school, or, heading to the grocery store, just encourage everyone to pay attention, especially with COVID, because there was not many people using public transit, and people were mostly driving to and from, whether they're going to the grocery store or wherever they were needed to be. Because there wasn't a lot of traffic, people tend to speed on the road. So we were encouraging people to follow the speed limit. And also, in addition to helping do that, we did this Vision Zero project, which is an effort to end traffic deaths and serious injuries on the city streets by 2030. So over this past year, SDOT has lowered speed limits throughout the entire city and on many state routes. Pretty much the speed limit would be 20 miles per an hour, just to encourage people to kind of slow down on the roads and make sure, they're aware of not speeding on the roads and so forth. And especially for those people who are walking and biking, just make sure that, they are stayed safe. So.
All right. So as I mentioned, school's about to start, which means you're going to have a lot of school-age kids out on the road during this particular time. It's going to be an adjustment. There hasn't been, in school. I'm not going to get into all the other stuff, but there hasn't been the traffic that there's been going into school. And for a while, there wasn't traffic at all in the early part of the pandemic. So some changes coming up, some things that I want to ask you about, but I'll give you the opportunity first before I start blasting questions at you. how did SDOT take a look at this issue of saying, okay, there's safety first. We're going to have a bunch of kids back out on the road. We've already got a bunch of cars back out on the road, and these two things are now going to interconnect with each other. So what was the thought process, and what went into that to get us to where we are right now, to we're having this conversation?
Well, I think it's, as I said, safety is always our number one priority. So just wanted to make sure that our roads and streets are safe for the kids and their families who might be walking, biking, or taking transit to school. As I mentioned before, people were speeding on the roads, and we wanted to encourage them to kind of drive the speed limit. And to do that, we worked with the Seattle Police Department to turn on, they worked to turn on the school zone safety cameras starting on September 1st, which was the first day of school for most people in Seattle. And these are cameras that are located around the city, and the lights will flash on when on school days during arrival and dismissal, and it's just to warn drivers to slow down so we can keep our students safe. So the goal of this is really to improve safety by reducing speeds. You would get a ticket if you do drive over the 20 miles per hour. But as I said, the goal is to improve safety by reducing speeds, not to issue tickets.
Yeah. So just be aware. You have something called Safe Routes to School. Talk about Safe Routes to School, what that is. And this is part of a national movement to make it easier and safer for kids.
Yeah, exactly. So that, it's a national movement to make it easier and safer for kids to walk, roll, or bike to school. And thus far, we've completed 29 Safe Routes to School projects here at SDOT, which is funded by the Levy to Move Seattle tax dollars. And we currently have 4 additional projects that are currently under construction. And these projects can include neighborhood greenways, crossing improvements, speed humps, and other safety improvements to help encourage people to slow down while they're driving and make people walk, roll, bike more comfortable and visible.
Okay. And you had mentioned before, I just want to mention that the lower speed limits, what you call school safety zones and the cameras, are these at every K through 5 or every middle school, or are they in certain locations?
So they are actually in certain locations, and on our website we do have locations of where they're located. I want to say we have more than 25 schools that have safety cameras in their area, and so they vary from elementary, middle, and high school. And really how we determine what should have a school zone safety camera is we look at the vehicle speed, we look at the number of vehicles, the volume of traffic in the area. We want to ensure there's a geographic balance, ensuring no neighborhood is over or underserved by photo speed enforcement. And we look at the engineering, each potential new location assessed for feasibility for photo speed enforcement installation. And then we also evaluate school zones for additional calming options prior to installing photo speed enforcement. So there's some criteria that we look into those different various schools to see whether or not they require a safety camera in their area.
All right. Again, my guest is Miriam Ali, and we are talking about the Seattle Department of Transportation and things the Seattle Department of Transportation is doing to make just generally the streets safer, right? Yeah. The travel from home to school safer, the travel from school to home safer. And for those of you out there, just again, creating awareness that now, correct me if I'm wrong here. Did you say that you've noticed that people have been going above the speed limit, that's something that's been trending, that you've been keeping track of? Is that?
Yeah, so yes, correct. And it's not only here in Seattle, it's across the nation. I think, when you have an open road, there's not a lot of vehicles or not a lot of traffic than usual. People tend to speed. So again, I think, in addition to the school safety zones, the school safe streets, safe routes to school, the Vision Zero projects where we're trying to find ways and projects and initiatives to initiate that, speed limit that is safe enough that we can all be together as vehicles, people who walk, people who bike, people who roll, and so forth. So we are encouraging drivers who are driving, just to make sure you're following the speed limit and also pay attention while you're driving, especially in areas in schools or where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic and so forth. So, it's just, again, just kind of a huge reminder to people who are driving that just drive the speed limit, especially in the areas that are 20 miles per hour, school zones areas, to just, follow those speed limit signs.
Once again, you're listening to the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. It's me, your host, Tony B. My guest is Miriam Ali from SDOT, and making this connection for you because it's been a while since school has been in and people get comfortable in their driving impacts. And when I say coronavirus has impacted everything. And so glad to have SDOT on to talk about some things that they are doing to make that whole transition smoother and easier. Now, the other thing about it is that, which I think this is pretty cool, if you're saying to yourself, well, we know our community better than SDOT knows our community. I think there's an opportunity here for you to feel empowered and be empowered. Now, help me out with this, Miriam. If I'm wrong about this, let me know. But you have something called Safe Routes to School mini grants that are available for school groups or small projects like bike helmets, giveaways, blinking lights. Anyway, school mini grants. What are these things? What can be done with school mini grants?
Yeah, so this is actually a great way. So when Safe Routes to School, that's really making changes to the road or the streets, the streets and so forth, where we have to get some, do some analyzation on engineering and all that part about the roads and making that safe for everyone. But these mini grants are great because these are for like nonprofits, Seattle schools, school-oriented community groups that can apply for a grant at any time of the year and receive up to $1,000. And these could be for any small projects, like, as you said, bicycle helmet giveaways, blinking light for students who are walking and biking, pedestrian crossing flags. And now for this year, we're actually offering the mini grants on a rolling basis. And this is in response to COVID-19 pandemic, so that schools, PTAs, and other nonprofits can apply when it worked best for them during those uncertain times. All
right. So I want to make this clear for folks. You know how I get down, Miriam. If you don't, we just have open, honest, frank conversation. Mm-hmm. That's how I saw it. This is an opportunity for members of the community who want to feel empowered about their community and want to see things happen. So I'm just going to ask you point blank, because this sounds very cool. You said nonprofits. What about people who've said, hey, we want to do something? What are the barriers that prevent us from getting together as a community and saying, we think we have some ideas, or we want to do a bike giveaway? And we're just an organized, concerned group of parents. Mm-hmm. What are the barriers that are in place, and what can folks do who just want to be a part of making sure that their community is safe as well and have gotten together? Just explain the criteria in order to apply for one of these mini grants.
So it seems that, the criteria is just, nonprofits, school organizations, oriented community organization, PTAs. But I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that there is a certain strict guidelines. If there is parents, a group of parents that are not part of an organization and want to do something for their community to make it safer, they're always welcome to contact SDOT and our Vision Zero, and we can help work with them to kind of make their areas, their community safe, whether it is the bike helmet giveaways or something on their roads or their streets in their community. We're always open to feedback and having a discussion, because we're here for you guys to make sure you guys feel safe as whether you're driving or you're biking or rolling or walking to and from where you need to go in your community. We're here for you. We're happy to hear any insight or concerns or even things that you would want to suggest that will make you feel safe as you transport anywhere in your community or beyond.
All right. Again, we're talking about making the streets safer. School has started again. My guest is Miriam Ali from Seattle Department of Transportation. And a couple of things that you mentioned earlier, going to talk a little bit about more. We talked about the school zone safety cameras. Mm-hmm. Again, it is what it is. We're trying to get you to slow down. We have young folks who are going to be on the streets. Speed has picked up, and so getting used to this again may be an issue. And I hear what you're saying. That what you want to do is deter people from speeding. But if you're speeding, you're going to get a ticket, right? And that's
Yes, if you're in those school zones with the safety cameras, and the light is flashing, which when the lights are flashing during arrival and dismissal of school, the mileage needs to be 20 miles per hour. So if you are going over 20 miles per hour, you will be issued a ticket. But as I said, like, we just want to improve safety by reducing speeds. We don't want to issue tickets, but this is just hopefully, something to encourage people as they're driving to the school zones to slow down.
Yeah, and I hear you, and I understand that you want to be nice about it, but here's the deal. So I'm getting the word out. If you don't want a ticket, slow down.
Exactly.
That's the deal.
Exactly.
If you don't want a ticket, slow down. If you're going faster than the speed limit, there's cameras there, and you're going to get a ticket. And so, slow down.
And we actually have installed 2 new cameras in West Seattle. One school in West Seattle, one in Crown Hill, which is not in your areas, but it's kind of if you are driving those areas, just letting you know, we are when we do install a first safety camera zone, we do give a 30-day grace period, so people that are not used to the safety zone cameras in their area kind of get used to it. But then after that 30 days, then yes, we will start issuing, SPD will issue tickets if you're going over 20 miles per hour.
And right now, in these areas where there are school zone cameras, the grace period is, if you're speeding, you're going to get a ticket. That's where we're at.
Exactly. Right? And if you want to know if there's a safety schools camera zone, a camera in your area or your kid's school or so forth, you can go to the SDOT website. And we do have a map that includes all the cameras that have been installed.
Yeah. And we talked a little, you mentioned school streets. Talk a little bit about. Yeah, school streets, close down the most cars and school streets. You tell me about it.
Yeah, sure. So School Safe Streets, it's actually a great program. It's something similar to our Stay Healthy Streets, which this was in response to the COVID-19. For the safe streets, we worked with, some businesses. If we closed the streets where they can do dining outside or use something on the sidewalks and so forth, whether it was outdoor seating and whatnot, because not a lot of people were using the roads, and also just to help with social distancing, to have people outside as well. So School Safe Streets are kind of similar, but what it was in response to the schools when they reopened back in person back in April, and we offered schools an opt-in option to close one block or two adjacent to the school to pass through traffic and open the block up to people walking, rolling, and biking. So this helps provide social distancing space for school pickup and drop off. This also reduced traffic congestion in front of the school. And it also encouraged families to walk or bike to school or park a few blocks away and then walk to the class. So we currently have 8 schools that are participating, but we encourage, we want more schools to participate this. So schools representatives can still sign up to participate if they like to have a school streets at their school.
Okay, so we've awared folks who are driving, you need to slow down, just trying to make the street safe. So slow down, there's cameras out there. First of all, there's kids out there. Right? So
exactly.
Slow down. But also there's cameras out there as well. We've talked about safe routes to school. For walking, for biking, for rolling, for however you want to do it, and things have changed to make that. But there's also public transportation as well, for a lot of, and so you have something called the Orca Opportunity Youth Program, and let's talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So the Orca Opportunity Youth Program is an unlimited use of the 12-month Orca cards at no cost to all high school students, and then also income eligible middle school students at the Seattle Public Schools. So high school students can pick up an Orca card at their school. They can look for information from your school to learn what dates the student can collect their card. And also there's a reminder that all high school students are required to complete a condition of use form once they receive one, which all this information is online on our website. And then for this year, we actually rolled out a new application for our middle schoolers through the city's affordability portal. And this makes it easier for families to get an Orca card for their child. And that form is also available online. It's called the Middle School Orca application. So this is a great way. It's a great opportunity if people want to use public transit to get to school. It's a great program for high school and middle schoolers to get to class.
Oh, all right. Again, and this is information that I got from y'all, that a person struck by a vehicle traveling at 20 miles per hour is nearly 2/3 less likely to be killed compared to a pedestrian struck by a vehicle traveling at 30 miles an hour, according to AAA Foundation Traffic Safety. Now, I'm going to say that again. So just in lowering the speed limit, if there were to be an accident, a person struck by a vehicle traveling at 20 miles per hour is nearly 2/3 less likely to be killed compared to a pedestrian struck by a vehicle traveling at 30 miles an hour. That 10 miles per hour makes a difference.
It does. It really does. And that's what I said, our Vision Zero effort. We want to end traffic deaths and serious injuries on our streets by 2030. So that's why this past year we have lowered speed limits throughout the city and also on many state routes, because we want to encourage people. Again, I know it's like a broken record, but just remind people to please drive the speed limit wherever you are located, whether it's 20 miles per hour, 30, 45 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour. Just make sure you're driving the speed limit and also paying attention. I know it's hard. We get distracted with our cell phones or changing that dial on our radio station and so forth. But, we just want to make sure you're alert and you're driving the speed limit and, just making sure everyone, not including yourself as the driver, but the pedestrians and people out there safe as they get to and from wherever they need to go.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. This is our special impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities broadcast. My guest, Miriam Ali. I forgot your title, Miriam. What's the title?
Sure. So my title is a Senior Public Relations Specialist at SDOT. So I work with the Communications and Public Affairs team for SDOT.
And now that we've had this conversation, why don't you share a little information about us? I know you sent in a bio, but just give us some information on your background and why you choose to do this work.
Yeah, sure. So I actually am new to the Seattle area. I just moved a month ago from the sunny Florida. I'm from Orlando, Florida originally. Decided to come to Seattle to make a change, definitely for the weather, because it's definitely really hot in Florida. And I actually have a transportation background. I actually worked for AAA and the Florida Department of Transportation. I've always liked, I feel like with transportation, you're always using the roads and streets. And I have this, to get to and from where you want to go. And also I have this weird thing where I have really good spatial memory that I know once I go one place, one time, I know where to go. So transportation is really big for me, and it's my background. And I've been in communications for more than 15 years. I've enjoyed working on projects, especially like this, when it comes to safety, to kind of get the message out and encourage people to whether to be safe, as I said, with lowering the speed limits and following directions, following the speed limit signs and encouraging that, and just kind of using my specialties of, messaging and, reaching out to the right people to make sure that, these organizations or companies are getting their messages out to the public so people are aware.
All right.
So,
I appreciate you joining us. And before we go, I'm going to let you put your skills where the rubber meets the road, because I'm going to give you the opportunity for final words here.
Yeah.
Just kind of recap what we've been talking about and share anything that we may have not been able to discuss or that you just feel that you want to discuss again about what's going on here, the camera zones, the safe streets, the ORCA program, whatever you want to do. Again, my guest, Miriam Ali. School is started back up. Kids are out on the street. Folks ain't used to that. There's been speeding going on. This is about making it safe for all those kids who are out there on the street, youth who are out there on the street. As a representative of the Seattle Department of Transportation, Miriam, what do you want folks to know?
Well, as you said, school is back in session now. It just started this week. So that means we're sharing the road with children walking, biking, and taking bus to school. So as a community, we all have a part to play to keep our kids and their families safe. So please drive the speed limit. Just ensure that, when you are at those school zones with a camera light or not, just make sure that you are driving 20 miles per hour, obey the signs, and expect more families and kids on our sidewalks and streets. And for the safe streets, safe routes to school, the mini grants, and the Orca Opportunity Youth Program, I suggest you to come to our SDOT blog, which has all that information and has links to all these different type of programs if you need more information. If not, you're happy to contact me at miriam.ali@seattle.gov, and I'm happy to push out any information you need on these programs. Because as I said, we want to just keep those our safety is our number one priority, and we want to keep our students and their families safe, whether they're heading to school or they're going to an after-school activity or they're just running errands with their family. You know, safety is number one. So thank you.
All right. We're going to be back to talk to Scott Itano, medical doctor from Kaiser Permanente, and we're just going to talk COVID-19. We're going to talk Delta variant. We're going to share information with you. We'll be back. And thank you again, Mary, for joining us. We'll be back right after this.
Thank you.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not translating the lyrics of Boogie Oogie Oogie for bored Europeans, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Metro League High School football is back.
Tigers off to the races. He could go all the way. He could go.
Touchdown. The return of Metro League High School football, Friday and Saturday nights on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Makes a stutter step inside, breaks a tackle. He's going to take it all the way. He's going to take it all the way on the sideline.
Exciting Metro League football live on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's back.
Hi, it's your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio host from the Clean Greens Living Live show. It's Queen Bree
and Robin T.
Our show is live every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with topics ranging from life from the farm, health and wellness, and race and social justice.
We feature guests each week with expertise in activism, entrepreneurship, healing, and food justice.
So come join your girls live every Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Clean Greens Living Live show. You can even call in and be a part of the show. See you then.
1, 2, get down.
What's up, big and little homies? This is Masvita Maraire, host of Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, your one-stop shop for Seattle sports. We cover preps, we cover college, we cover pro, we cover it all. Huskies, Mariners, Seahawks, Garfield, South, Roosevelt, Metro, King County. This is where you want to listen to for all the sports that's happening in Seattle. Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
See a bad
What is the Delta variant? It's a faster, more efficient version of the original virus that causes COVID-19. It's the same virus, it's just better at infecting people. Delta is far more contagious than its predecessors. It's spreading twice as quickly as the original strain, and people who are infected with it carry around much more virus. Getting vaccinated is the best defense we have against COVID-19, including against the Delta variant. Now check this out. The vaccine is free, safe, and effective. Time to protect yourself is now. Learn more at kingcounty.gov/vaccine.
Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. This is our special broadcast of the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. If you are just tuning in, you missed a conversation with Miriam Ali from the Seattle Department of Transportation. We're talking about changes that are made to improve safety. School has started up again, and people have been traveling faster. There have been more accidents, and there haven't been, children on the road in the mornings during this busy time. So some changes were made. One of them is some school safety cameras were installed. And so when the yellow lights are flashing, first of all, you should just be slowing down anyway because children are on the road. But if you speed and the yellow lights are flashing, you could get a ticket in the mail, just as an added reminder that you need to slow down. So serving a dual purpose, also letting you know that you don't need a ticket, just slow down. And then the other thing about it, just a reminder that there's children on the road, and then sharing some of the things that are being done now, like the Safe Streets, and again, the mini grants as well. So you might want to do a helmet giveaway or figure out how to use $1,000 and contact SDOT. And as a community group or organization, PSA, nonprofit, even if you're not, just call them and tell them you're concerned community members and give us the $1,000 so we can do what we want to do to make our community safe. All right, to do that, however you want to work it out. Joining me right now on the program from Kaiser Permanente is Dr. Scott Itano. Scott, did I say that last name correctly? Is it Itano? Scott, you there? Okay, Scott, can you hear me? Well, let's see. I have Scott on camera. But I'm hearing. Okay, Scott. Let's see. Tell you what we're going to do, Scott. We're just going to go to break really quick and see if we can't resolve this. It's probably a headphone thing, but let's just go to break for a minute, and then we'll try and figure this out real quick, and we'll be back. So we'll be right back with Scott Itano, and we'll figure this out right after this.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not trying out new wigs and cocktail dresses, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Connect to your Seattle at Pier 62. Summer long. Family-friendly activities like music, art, dance, yoga, storytelling, fitness classes, and much more. All free for you to enjoy. Visit waterfrontparkseattle.org for the full summer schedule. That's waterfrontparkseattle.org. Connect to your Seattle at Pier 62.
We got the feeling now. Yeah.
R&B, soul, funk, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We give you all that and more on Star Time. Join me, Paul Pearson, for a 2-hour trip through the history of R&B. A new episode every week on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Come and get the feeling on Star Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
The beat of the Fox with nastiness is back on K-Fox Night Beat.
Yo, what's the deal? It's the legendary Hall of Fame DJ Mixmaster Ice from UTFO.
What's up? Who you thought this is? This is Sir Mix-Lock.
And this is Terry Lewis.
And I'm Grand Mixer GMS.
What's up, y'all? This is DJ Third Degree.
This is JJ Hudson from the High Children family.
Sunday nights from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's K-Fox Night Beat with DJ Nastiness.
Bringing back the memories.
Bringing back the memories.
Bringing Seattle's hottest music.
Bringing Seattle's hottest music. Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
That's my noise.
Peace.
This is a Rainier Avenue Radio public service announcement. The Skyway Love Train Community Block Party takes place September the 11th, 1 to 4 p.m. Registration is required to attend. The block party will be offering free haircuts for school-age boys by Mr. Rio from Personal Touch Barbershop, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. on a first-come, first-served basis.
Hi, this is Scott.
Age girls, as long as you do wash your hair. The Love Train is new, and former
Okay, sounds good.
Doug Baldwin is the conductor. You don't need a ticket to ride. All aboard! Come for the experience. Stay for the fun. The Skyway Block Party on September 11th is a free event. You must be registered to attend. Get more info at womenunitedseattle.org. womenunitedseattle.org.
All right, welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. I have my guest Scott. The time we figured it out. We'll see how this sounds on your end, Scott. Why don't you go ahead and give me some audio and we can see what we're working with here.
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yes. All right. Sounds good. Well, welcome to the program. You weren't hearing any of the things that I was saying. Well, basically, I was just in the process of introducing you and Kaiser Permanente and your role as the current district medical director for the Seattle district, previously chief of the Northgate Medical Center, Dr. And I wanted to make sure I was saying your name correctly. Is it Itano?
Absolutely, you got it.
All right. And then, Dr. Tano is a family medicine physician with obstetrics. You graduated from Harvard with an AB in biology and received your MD at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine. So welcome to the program.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Well, let's start with this. You know, we're going to be talking about the coronavirus, the vaccine, the Delta variant, and those things. But let's set the table a little bit. Kaiser, who is Kaiser? What does Kaiser do? Let's start with that.
Absolutely, and that's a great question. Kaiser Permanente is a large, multi-specialty integrated healthcare system. We're based here in Washington and then have multiple regions across the country.
Okay. And so obviously at this point, everybody in the world is experiencing and has experienced the same place that we're in, which is a pandemic. And the impacts that this has had, we've talked about from a number of different areas, from business owners to schools to, I mean, again, you heard me, if you didn't earlier in our program, we were talking with the Seattle Department of Transportation, who has to remind people to slow back down because kids are going back to school. But I want to go back for you to from March 13th is 2020 is when we started doing these programs. As an organization that does what you do, how were you impacted by the coronavirus? And I know that's a big question, and you're obviously in the thick of this, but just take us back. And how was your organization impacted by the coronavirus, and how did it change the way that you do things? But first question first.
That's a great question, and I'm happy to flash back in time. So back in March of 2020, Seattle was one of the first sites for COVID to outbreak in the United States. And so as an organization, we really had to pivot, focusing on safety for our staff and our members. And so we quickly, tried to limit and impose safe social distancing, hygiene measures, and limiting exposure. So we did reduce our face-to-face care and pivoted because we have the technology to do virtual telehealth visits, whether it's a phone visit or a video visit. We really leaned into that so that we could limit exposure and still take care of our members at the same time. And then as we grew to learn more about the coronavirus, then we gradually reintroduced face-to-face care where patients return to the clinics in the summer and fall. And we still maintained our telehealth program so that we could give members the option to seek care in a safe way and whatever way they felt most comfortable. And then as time progressed and we learned more, and then the vaccines came out in December of 2020, we started to vaccinate our healthcare teams and then pivoted more to allow members to re-enter the clinics in a safe way, and then started really heavily vaccinating our members. We had huge vaccine clinics at multiple sites across our system, trying to engage the community and our members to get vaccinated as much as possible. And then fast forward to now the Delta virus is happening, and we had essentially vaccinated a majority of our members, but now we're seeing another surge. And so the hospitals and the clinics are seeing a rise in members who are again getting infected with coronavirus.
And we just yesterday did the press briefing with King County Health Officer Jeffrey Duchin, and And talking about, again, right now, the hospital situation, again, being stressed. I'm about to go forward, but I got to ask you that too. In your situation right now, from where you at, from where you sit, what can you tell us about that, about the surge and how that's impacting and affecting Kaiser Permanente, and again, your ability to do things and function, and just what's going on with that now internally from your perspective?
That's a great question, and we're preparing right now. The hospitals are seeing rates of COVID patients as high as they did at their peaks in 2020. And we're trying to plan for all possible scenarios.
You know, so I'm going to stop you right there just for a second, because that's a big statement, because we didn't know what this thing was and all these things were happening. Now we hopefully know a little bit more about it a year or so later, and we have vaccines. And I think I just heard you say rates as high as the highest peaks of 2020. Did I hear you say that correctly?
Yes, you did. And that's exactly right. The hospitals are under intense strain right now. And if we don't do something urgently, we may get to the point where people who are sick from other situations like heart attacks or strokes, their care may get delayed just because we don't have the capacity at our current hospital system.
Wow. I kind of interrupted you because I just wanted to make sure I brought that home. So
absolutely. That's a great point to highlight.
So you can continue in the conversation.
Right. And so in preparation, we are planning for all contingencies. Hopefully we will take the corner and start to see cases plateau. However, if hospitalization rates continue to increase, we are planning on how to add more physicians and teams at the hospital to take care of these patients. If that happens, we're taking some of these clinicians from our urgent cares and primary care centers. So it may be more difficult to get your routine primary care and sick visits at the outpatient setting. And so we really are trying to figure out solutions, how to take care and triage and take care of our members in the best way possible.
Again, you're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's me, Tony B., your host of the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. There is a Kaiser Permanente, on 42nd and Rainier as well. I believe there's a facility there, right, Dr. Itano? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't there a Kaiser Permanente facility on 42nd Avenue South in Rainier?
Yes, we do have a Kaiser Permanente clinic, the Rainier Valley Medical Center.
Yeah.
It's a great clinic, and a lot of our clinicians there have been there for a long time.
Yeah, this is about South Seattle and surrounding communities. So if you're in South Seattle, of course, I'm going to point that out. And my guest again is Dr. Scott Itano, the District Medical Director for the Seattle District. We talked a little bit, and we're going to talk coronavirus here in Delta variant. But Dr. Itano, I'm going to take you back to that same place as well as medical director. What was this like for you at that point, and how if it has changed how you function, how you operate, and what you've had to do as a medical director? And the other thing about it is that we've heard how this is. It's been overwhelming to some folks in the medical community. Just give us some background and share, if you can, again, from where we were to where we are now.
That's a great question.
For you personally, too. I'm dragging you personally into this.
I appreciate you checking in. And, from a system perspective, we really have been trying to figure out how to keep our members and teams safe and healthy. And that's our foremost priority. So it's really staying on the cutting edge of what best practices are from a safety guideline perspective, looking at what CDC guidelines are. And then we have our own internal COVID operations department, and they're reviewing the data every week and seeing what the latest recommendations are, and then implementing them from a systems level. And so we really pride ourselves on doing what's right and what's evidence-based, and then making sure that our team stays safe and our members get the best quality care, even during COVID, and in a safe way. And so it's really just, this is an enemy we've never encountered before. Things are changing every day, so we just have to meet it where it's at in the pandemic. It's still going to continue to evolve, and we're doing our best to stay on top of things. And, you know, from a personal perspective, it has been hard. This has been a strain on healthcare professionals. We've all been fighting it day in, day out for well over a year and a half now. And regardless of who you are, it takes a toll. And at the end of the day, I'm thankful that I'm healthy. I get to go to work every day and help others. And I just want to make sure that we can keep our members and community safe.
All right. So I want you to share a little bit briefly, you know, what the coronavirus is, and then I want to talk about the Delta variant. And I'm not just going to assume that at the point that we're right now, everybody's on the same page of what the coronavirus is. Part of what we're dealing with, Dr. Atano, is misinformation, disinformation, myths, distrust, and a lot of different things that go along with this. And now we're at this point where we have the thing called the Delta variant, which is really where I want you to spend a lot of time talking about variants and how these mutations happen and what this is and why we're saying it's more potentially dangerous and transmissible. But start this conversation off by backing up to the coronavirus as a starting point, and you can go through that pretty quickly. But again, and I'm not asking you, I mean, at least when you're giving me your personal opinion, tell me that. But what I'm asking you for is evidence-based research about these things that we're talking about that we should be sharing as fact.
Absolutely. And I really thank you for this opportunity, because there is so much misinformation, and that's part of the challenge. I really hope that people in the communities lean in and trust the healthcare system, and have a trusted physician or healthcare team that they can turn to when they have questions. The coronavirus is a virus. And so viruses are diseases that, like the common cold and the flu. And coronavirus is an especially infectious and virulent virus. What that means is that it can infect a great number of people if people are exposed, and virulent mean that causes severe disease. A common cold is not as infectious or virulent, so if people get the cold, they don't spread it as much, and people don't get as sick as much. They don't get hospitalized or end up in the ICU from it. Whereas the coronavirus is on the other end of the spectrum, and it's very infectious and spreads from people to people easily, and then it causes severe disease much more easily. The Delta variant is a strain of the coronavirus that is much more infectious and much more virulent than the original strain we had, the Alpha strain, which was the predominant strain in the US last year. And so now with the Delta strain, it's 3 times more infectious and it's much more virulent. So when people get the Delta virus strain, they're more likely to end up in the hospitalized or have severe disease.
And why did this happen? Why does it happen? You know, so it mutate. Well, how does that work? What's the deal? I thought the vaccine was supposed to stop all of this stuff. Why is this happening?
That's a great question. Mutations happen all the time, and when we allow a disease to persist for months and months and years, the virus is smart, and it's going to find a way to stay alive if we have members in the community who can still be infected. And so with unvaccinated people, the virus can continue to live and jump around and reinvent itself and find a strain that can continue to live in the community despite vaccination. And so because we haven't stomped out the disease and gotten enough vaccination in the community to develop herd immunity, the virus can still reinvent itself and find the most effective strategy to live on and affect us all.
Now, here's where again I'm talking about evidence-based research, not even so much what you think. Not that that's not important.
Sure.
But so is there a variant, a mutation out there now that's on the way that is even potentially more dangerous? Because we're hearing about that, than the Delta variant, which is causing things to go back to where they were. What can you tell us about that variant, if it exists, and what it is and where it's at? And is it in Seattle? Is it in King County? Is it in Washington?
That's a great question. There's multiple strains and variants of the coronavirus. The Delta virus is currently the predominant strain, and we know that it is more infectious and more virulent than the other strains. One strain that comes to mind is the Mu variant, MU or Mu. It's a variant of interest, and so we don't know if it's as severe or as infectious as the Delta variant. And we don't know how it compares to vaccinated people, if it's going to be higher rates of breakthrough infections in vaccinated people or not, or if vaccines are effective. But this all hits down to the same point. The best way to prevent the pandemic from continuing and for the virus to continue developing strains and variants that could be even worse than Delta is by getting vaccinated and really making sure that we can limit the virus's ability to jump from person to person and live on and possibly mutate into something more dangerous.
And I hear you, and I hear the messaging and why there is encouragement for people to get vaccinated. And I think that you just explained that. But I think that what I'm also hearing you say is that the longer this thing lives, the potential there is for it to get more resistant to vaccines, and the more it is able to adapt to live, which means for us, killing us.
Absolutely. Each day that we don't reach herd immunity, which is the point where we have enough vaccinated people that the virus doesn't have enough tinder to cause a wildfire in the community, is another day that the virus can reinvent itself and potentially turn into something that we can't control or that we don't have a vaccine that can help fight it. So we really are in a race against time, and it's so imperative, if you care about yourself, your loved ones, community members, or just getting back to some semblance of normalcy, vaccination is going to be the most effective weapon we have right now to fight it.
3 things I want you to tell me about. The impact of vaccines from the knowledge that you have on women who are pregnant. The impact of vaccine on those under 12, the impact of any type of vaccine on those under 5. Address those 3 things for me, if you wouldn't mind, from what you can tell me.
You bet. And I'm so glad you asked that question. I am a family medicine doctor who does obstetrics, which means I also do prenatal care and take care of pregnant women. This community is so near and dear to my heart. And the vaccine's been proven to be safe in pregnant women. It's been endorsed by all the national organizations for obstetrics and gynecology, and I recommend it for all pregnant women out there. There's no evidence that it causes harm to the mom or the unborn child or increases rates for miscarriages or birth defects. So far, from what we can tell, it's a very safe option. And the thing pregnant women should know is that if you get COVID, a pregnant woman is more likely to get severe disease than the average person when you're not pregnant. So it's even more critical because unfortunately we've seen pregnant women get COVID who are not vaccinated and they end up in the ICU. And sadly, sometimes they lose the baby as well. When you're talking about kids in vaccination under 12 and under 5, this is still being studied. It's likely safe, but they have not approved it for this population just because we do not have enough people over time that we've been able to study with the vaccine. Once we get to that point, they'll allow authorization for the vaccines to be used in these populations.
Dr. Atano, we're almost out of time here, but I want to give you the opportunity for final words. Anything that you'd like to share with our audience right now?
Well, I really appreciate the time. I think it's so critical to have accurate trusted information. There are some things in like math and science which are just fact. 2 + 2 = 4. The same thing with vaccines. It's our best hope for ending this pandemic and staying safe and in our community. So first and foremost, please get vaccinated if you have not. And if you have concerns or questions, please bring that up with your doctor. Someone on your trusted healthcare team. Please do not turn to social media or your neighbor. You know, this is our job. We take pride in it. We look out for the communities, and we want the best when it comes to public health. And we will provide that unbiased opinion that's based in science to help you make your decisions.
My guest again, Dr. Scott Itano, Medical Director for Seattle District of Kaiser Permanente. Appreciate you joining me, and I think I'm going to have you back sometime. Some more stuff, I think.
I'm happy to join anytime. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And thank you again. This is how we get out, just open, honest, frank conversation. That's what we need. And so thanks for joining me. Coming up, we're going to be joined by Alicia Kennedy, who's here to talk about the Love Train Community Block Party, which is going to be taking place physically this Saturday. We're going to be broadcasting live, so we're going to find out about this community event and all the incredible things that they have going on there. And it's the physical manifestation of it again. And so we're also going to find out about, because we just have new mandates that came down about masking. They're very, very conscious and aware of social distancing while this is taking place. You can even you can get a vaccine, and you can even get a booster shot during the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party. We'll tell you what's going on there, and then a little later on in the program, again, we'll be presenting the press briefing from Dr. Jeffrey Duchin, and also, I don't remember his name right now, the doctor from Harvard, explaining again the mandate and the requirements from the King County Executive's Office. We'll be back right after this.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not translating the lyrics of Boogie Oogie Oogie for bored Europeans, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Okay, let's do this commercial for the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party.
Oh, absolutely.
Love this event.
Me too.
Take one. Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
You know what, Jake? Let's just do this in one take. Join Rainier Avenue Radio September 11th from 1 to 4 o'clock in Skyway for the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party. Saturday, September 11th from 1 to 4. Skyway Love Train Community Block. There is a whole lot going on as usual at the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party. COVID-19 vaccinations for children 12 and up and booster shots will be available. Frank's Ice Cream Truck will be on hand. There'll be backpacks and school supplies. Of course, there'll be music. DJ Uncle Guy. There'll be games. There'll be contests and more. Skyway Love Train Community Block Party. September 11th, Saturday, from 1 to 4. Broadcast live on Rainier Avenue Radio. Get on the Love Train.
Tune in to Real Estate and Money every Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 to 3 here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Join your hosts Violetta Strash with John L. Scott Kent North and Tina Lombard with Guaranteed Rate Affinity. They'll help you navigate the waters of our volatile real estate market and offer you some guidance on how to make your hard-earned money work to make your dreams come true. Learn about current trends, get tips on financial matters, and have fun, interactive discussions about your home inside and out. That's Real Estate and Money.
This is Tyrone with God Is, and the inspiration of gospel music also on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We give out free food each and every Saturday from 11 to 2. And so we want you to come on out and support us when we love on your community. And we also have a fish fry once a month. We want to raise funds, put back into the community. And so come on and support us. We need your love. And also, if you want to be connected with us, go to Rainier Avenue Radio.world, get to the website, Facebook, Instagram, and God Is. And as God Is got a website, we need your help, community. So come on out and get your free food each and every Saturday it is. And so we asking for donation, whatever you feel to give from your heart to the mind. And as we're doing it right here for you, go to our website and touch love and give back. And so come on by 810 23rd Avenue, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, your community radio station, the inspiration of all the things we do in your community.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Got to get festive here. Thank you for joining us. If you're just tuning in, you missed a conversation a little earlier with Miriam Ali from the Seattle Department of Transportation, talking about what they are doing to make the streets safer as children go back to school, youth go back to school. For the first time since, the whole pandemic thing started and people had started to speed because there weren't anybody on the streets. And so just a reminder for you to slow back down, and then also telling you about some of the programs that are in place now for the protection of youth as we travel going back to school, whether they're walking, rolling, or biking, or using public transportation. So and then we just finished a conversation with Dr. Scotty Tano from Kaiser Permanente, the medical director. And just some wonderful information about where they were at and how they were handling the pandemic and where it's at now. And then discussions about things that are critical and important about the Delta variant, explaining the explanation, just the facts. You know what I'm saying? Just the facts. And the coronavirus, and then the information they have available now about the impact of the Delta variant coronavirus on and taking the vaccine. If you're pregnant, if you're under 12, where they're at with, production of that, and under 5 and what they have going on. So definitely go back and check that out. Right now, I'd like to welcome to the program I'm pretty sure I have this right, founder and creator of the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party, Alicia Kennedy. Alicia, am I saying your last name correctly?
It's the first name, and it's Alicia. Last name Kennedy.
Okay, Alicia. And I think it's Alicia. Anyway, I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's okay.
And that's why I asked, so I can get it right. Alicia Kennedy. Alicia, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Bennett. I appreciate being here.
Well, pre-COVID, when we were allowed to gather and celebrate community and showcase and show off community, I was seeing you more often. And it's one of the things that this isolation has done. And so excited that you are bringing this event back, the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party. There's a whole lot for us to talk about that's going to be going on there. Again, this show is the impact of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. And that is one thing that the coronavirus definitely did. It did not allow us to gather. It did not allow us to celebrate culture, which is critically important. And then just, for the mental health of being able to be around people. And so it's back this year. We still have the specter of the coronavirus hanging over us, and we're trying to figure out how to, bridge these two gaps, because we know that mental health is important. We know that face-to-face interaction and socialization are important, and so we're trying to figure out how to do that. So first of all, thank you for bringing this event back.
I'm happy to. I am so excited. I'm so excited. The train has been refurbished. It's new. It looks beautiful, and I cannot wait to put it out there on the street.
Well, let's start with this. So for folks who aren't familiar with Skyway, it's a community. So when I'm saying the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party, we're talking about the community of Skyway. Let's talk about that. Skyway, tell us where it is. Tell us about the community, why you choose to hold this event, and highlight the community of Skyway.
When I moved here, I just used to hear such, bad things. Skyway is this, Skyway is that. It was just nothing ever good. And And one day I just decided that, that's not true. I said, somebody needs to do something to show that there is something good in Skyway. And so this little grandmother up on the hill decided, I want to do a love train. And you know what? A love train, it just meant so much. It's something that you get on. It's free. Love does not cost us anything, and when you give it, it spreads. So I did that little, the very first one. I didn't even have a train, but I did it anyway. And it just blossomed. And it was just to bring unity to the community, let people know who their neighbors are, love each other. And it was the funniest thing, the way it happened was because it was when they did the National Night Out, and they only had it in Seattle. They never had nothing up here in Skyway. And so I decided to go to City of Seattle and tell them that I wanted to do it in Skyway. Now, City of Seattle, I guess they don't know their areas too well, because they gave me everything I needed to do in order to throw the block party. And then after I threw the block party, then they told me, we weren't supposed to give you that because you're in unincorporated King County. I said, well, you may not were supposed to give me that, but somebody else felt we needed it. And that's how it all started. And I've been doing it every year ever since. They added the train in. We were in the parade, the Heritage Parade and the Skyway Parade. And I just kept it going just to bring community, bring some joy, bring that old-fashioned fun where the kids are playing in the street, that the people are dancing in the street, and as parents and children together.
All right. I said September 11th. Where is this Skyway Love Train Community Block Party located?
You have to go and register in order to get that information.
Okay. And so, again, I talked about the fact that there were COVID restrictions and you're following the mandates and that in place, which is, again, I think very, very important. And so how does one register to be able to get that information so that they can attend?
Yes, you can go register at my website. It's called womenunitedseattle.org. Go to the events page and you will see different events. Click on the one that says the Love Train. Go ahead and register. You can do it. It's that simple. That simple. And then I will get an email that will let me know that you registered. So when you come in, I will be able to check you off the registration. And speaking of COVID, what we will be doing is that we will be taking the temperature upon entry. And to make sure, that nobody has a temperature, we'll make sure that you have your face mask and your hand sanitizer. And then you're able to enter in. And we also give you a ticket that will be for your meal. So it's very important to register so that you can get a meal. Okay. And we're doing 6-foot distancing. You got to keep your mask on at all times. And I have a space for the children that are 5 to 10 years old, where parents can accompany them. That's in my property. And it's, kind of just basically for those younger kids. And we have different activities that the older kids can do in the yard, in the front street, which is back in the day where we did hopscotch and we did 4 squares. We did all them games that didn't have no electronic connected to it. And we had just as much fun. And it's just to bring that element back and to, be social in those ways. But we do. And as far as the food, everything is individually wrapped.
Okay. And again, just thank you for keeping the safety of our community in mind. And that was great to hear about the adjustments that you've made with, okay, we're going to do this, but we're going to do it according to CDC guidelines and keep our community safe at the same time. Now, let's talk about what's going to be taking place and what's happening and what you've got going on. I know, but I want you to share with us what's taking place at the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party. What's going on, Alicia? Tell us.
I surely will tell you, because I am so excited. First of all, we got our one and only Seahawks wide receiver, former wide receiver, Doug Baldwin, who will be the conductor of the train. All right. Now that is absolutely wonderful. And he'll be right there in the mix. He'll be chugging up the street to the OJ's sound. We will have Kicks for Kids, where they can sign up and they can order themselves a pair of a Nike tennis shoes. We have backpacks that are loaded with supplies. We have books that were donated by Rainier Beach Library. Thank you, Rainier Beach Library. We have Hope's Closet, which are gently used clothes. Normally we give them out to the community, but this year we're going to collect those clothes and send them to New Orleans. For those families down there. We want to do that to get those clothes to those people that are in so much need. We will have food. There will be music. You're going to learn a new dance called the Hater Shuffle. So all you haters out there, get ready. You're going to want to learn it too. Then you won't be a hater no more. And we will also have King County Public Health that will be providing you with enrollment into healthcare, dental, and ORCA cards if you need it. We will also have DJ Smooth T and Uncle Guy. You know, two. Now, how good is that? You get two DJs, and they can kind of like spin off on each other, however they want to do it. But it's going to be a day of fun, a day of connecting. And, you know, I just always say when you come up here to Women United, the Angel of Hope Engagement Center, my motto is come for an experience, but you're going to stay for the fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing those registrations come in. And it will be broadcast, which you know, by the one and only Rainier Avenue Radio is going to do it up and get it out there to the people. And we will also have a drone that's going to fly over and capture the event. So it's a lot. And I know I'm missing some things, but if I am, just come and be surprised.
All right. And then now that we've again talked about some of the amazing, wonderful things that you have going on in this day full of excitement, Alicia, one more again, how do folks register so that they can attend?
Okay. You register at womenunitedseattle.org. You're going to go to the events page, and on the events page, you will automatically see Love Train. And once you go in, it will say support us. And then you say which one you want to do. And it will say register. And you just go on and put your registration in. And you're there.
All right. And I know I'm being redundant, but I want to make sure people get this message. So the deal is this. In order to attend the Skyway Love Train community block party, you have to register in advance, and for a number of different reasons. And you can free to go explain all those again. One thing that I'm sure of is just, you know, make sure that you know who's there, and it makes for a safe environment. And,
right.
And we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I'll let you explain to folks.
Okay.
Why that is the case, and I want you to give them that registration information again.
Okay, so you're doing it on the screen. So I'm going to tell you to go to the menu, go to events. Don't click on the Love Train, just go to events. There you are. Go down. Okay, see it says right there? Click that. And you're ready to register. You can make a donation, you can register, or you can be a volunteer.
All right. And yeah, go ahead.
And that's pretty much it.
And again, the obvious reason for me is the safety, you know, that's involved in this, and doing this again during a pandemic. I know I can certainly appreciate, you know, how did you set it up this way, and how, because you know, tell me about the process that you had to go through to bring this to fruition during a pandemic.
Well, I pretty much just went to the county to get a permit and let them know what I was doing, and you know, the permit was granted, and you know, it's basically just up to me that I have the tables separated, you know, spread out apart a distance so that people can be safe, and then people just giving them the guidelines. We will have the COVID will be here, COVID-19, that will be giving the shots for the boosters and the flu shot and the shot for the 12 and over. So this is a way pretty much to get the people in, get some fun, get them protected, because it's so serious. And having that and just making it to where people know this is what we have to do to be safe. Keep your mask on, do the social distancing. You can still enjoy the event, you know, and it's just being wise, you know. So the setting up of it was just going through the different channels that I needed to, which the main one was was getting that permit, because the permit people could have just said, no, we don't want no block parties, but this is King County. And they said, yes.
All right. Alicia, tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, you know, clearly we want to talk about the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party and continue to share. But give us a little bit of information about your background, because I know you do other things.
Yeah.
As well. So just share a little bit about your background, included in that the work that you do in the community, but other things that you just may want to share as well that we may not know.
Okay. Well, I was born right here in Seattle, born and raised, and I come from a family of 9 girls and one boy. I was a middle child. So growing up, I had to kind of watch the children of my older sisters when they were going and having babies. So somebody had to babysit. That would be me. And then I had the younger sisters that was that I was over. So I had to see about them, combing hair, getting them ready for school, doing with the lunches, you know. So I was like a little caregiver in the middle of the family. I was that one, you know, like when you have the I guess you say the scales and you're going from one end to the other. Well, that was me. And you wouldn't believe it. I'm October, so mine is the scales. And, you know, just growing up doing that stuff. And I started at the job that I worked in from the age of 16. And I stayed with that one company throughout my career. I ended leaving at 37-year career in the executive office of the CenturyLink. So I made 37 years and got to the top. I started as an operator.
Hold on 1 second here.
Yes.
Mr. Bellis, can we hook up that round of applause for getting gainfully employed at 16 and making a 37-year career out of it? Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And, you know, and with that said, there's just something inside of me that, you know, coming from all those, the family, a large family, I always had so much in me that had the arts and just always wanting to help. And I really didn't get to do it, like deposit some of the knowledge and the crafts and thoughts and ideas that I had in my own family. So since I couldn't do that, I decided I wanted to do it with the world, to share it with the world. So as I was growing, as I was getting older into a woman and, you know, growing up myself, I found that I was always coming in contact with women that were going through a crisis or needed help or any, you know, things like that. There's just so many instances. And I could tell you one that's going to be very touching. And that one was not too long ago. And she was a good friend of mine that I sat at church next to. And we became really, really good friends. And we just sit here and talk. And I tell her about Women United and what I was going to do. And she was like, oh, I really want to be involved in that. Well, something happened and she got very sick. And she called me one day and asked if I'd bring her water. I went and took water to her and she was emaciated because she was very sick. And when she went to the doctor and found out what was wrong, she told the doctor that she wanted to go and be with her friend, come to my house. And she came to my house and I kind of helped take care of her. She ended up having pancreatic cancer. So when she came to my house, I fixed the room up for her. And when she laid in the bed and she, you know how the kids make a snow angel, she waved her hands back and forth like a snow angel and said, clean sheets. And those words were so powerful to me that I wrote a poem about it. And this was the last address she ever had. But she told me to promise her that I would move Women United on. And Women United is basically to stand beside women that are going through something, but not only those women, but also grandmothers that are raising grandchildren. And that's what I've evolved into. Women United is a nonprofit organization that supports grandmothers that are raising grandchildren. And then our support group is called a Pepper Pot Kinship Group. And I call it that because a pepper pot is a soup that my mother loved, and I just love that. And I figured that, okay, pepper pot. So these are grandmothers that are adding spice to our life. We're going to see what we can give. We don't want nothing. We just want to give. And this is my way of doing it. And then how I got them to understand what my concept was. I don't know if anybody knows the story about stone soup. Well, stone soup was a story about these travelers that came to a town, and all they had was a rock. And the townspeople all stayed indoors. They never came out to be around each other or anything. And so when he brought that rock, he started telling the people in the community he needed celery. He needed this. He needed ingredients to go in the soup. And by the time he finished the soup, all the community was out. All the community was sharing in this meal. That's the love train.
Yes. I remember that story as rock soup.
Oh, no. It's stone soup. Well,
Okay.
they got another one, but there's one stone soup. Look it up, Tony.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. But sounds very similar.
Yeah, and it probably is.
At the end of the day,
but that is my concept around the love train, is to get people out.
And sharing resources. And
Exactly.
You have a way more than what you had as an individual.
Yes.
Group. That is so awesome to hear that story. Alicia, again, my guest is Alicia Kennedy. We're talking at the founder, creator of the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party, September 11th. Again, we're going to tell you how to register. We're going to be broadcasting live. I'm excited about that. So for those of you who aren't able to make it, can't make it for whatever reason, we're going to give you the behind the scenes look at all the things that are going on. And at the same time, that way, if you say, wow, this is great, I couldn't make it down there, you can still donate too. We'll give you that information so that this type of event can continue to happen, and we'll be there broadcasting, I'm sure, from 2 to 4, but the event itself will be from 1 to 4. So we still have some time left, which I wanted to so let's go over this again. What's going to be taking place? Who's going to be there? What are some of the events, games, and I think it's still going to be there, because last time I don't think you mentioned Frank's ice cream truck, which is going to be there.
Yeah, Frank's ice cream truck is going to be here. Yeah, he's always at the block parties, and the little kids dress up in their well, they probably won't do it this year because they're big kids now, but they had their little butterfly wings on, and they would fly down to the ice cream truck and then fly back. And it was just it's the cutest thing. But we're going to have the ice cream truck. We'll be serving up hamburgers and hot dogs, chips, water, drinks. And everything is going to be individually packed, so nobody has to worry about touching anybody else's items. We will have Rio from Personal Touch Barbershop. And then we'll also have a hair braider. We may have two, but right now I know that we will have one. And so there'll be a tent set up in an area of the property, and that will be the outdoor salon where you can go and get your hair braided, or you can go and get a haircut. We will, like I said, we'll have clothing from Hope's Closet. We will have the tennis shoes. We'll have the backpacks and the supplies. There will be resources so that you can learn about the lead. You know, a lot of homes have lead in them, and people are not educated on it. So there'll be someone to let you know about that. You will also, I believe we will have people from the water waste treatment or water waste that will be here also. Let me see. You got to help me out, Tony.
And former Seattle Seahawk legend Doug Baldwin.
Yes.
Will be there as well.
And also a young lady that is a partner with his, her name is Sarah, and she is from the External Affairs Director for Safeway, and all the other stores. And just a shout out to that foundation. They will be providing all the food for us to enjoy.
Sarah
so
Osborne.
just a shout out to them and Doug. You know, I mean, they're just doing some wonderful things. And I will say that you don't know this, Tony, but I think I can say it now that Women United was nominated for the Champions of Change Award.
All right. Congratulations. Yes. Let's ring that bell again, Mr. Bellis.
Yeah. So so that's what's going on. And I just love what I do. I love connecting people. I love being connected. And most of all, just looking at the smiles on people's face.
Well, awesome. Congratulations. One more again. How do you register to attend the Skyway Love Train Community Block Party? I think you can tell now. I just like saying that.
I think you do too. But you know what? What you're going to even more when you see that train rolling up the street to the Love Train, the OJ's Love Train. That's what you're going to really like. But you can reach
with the conductor, Doug Baldwin.
Yes, exactly. With that conductor, Doug Baldwin, chugging up the street. And he made it plain that that's exactly what he wanted to do. So you can reach us by going to the website, Women United.
I think you muted yourself somehow. Alicia, we can't hear you.
Okay, now I'll start over.
All right.
Okay, go to the website and go to the events page. Click on the events page. You will see women. You will see, that Love Train. And then down below, it says to register. Just go register, and it will send me an email that you have registered. And if you want to be a volunteer or you want to be a vendor table, you just call and you register how many children that you have. If there are more than one adult, make sure each adult registers. Okay. And on here, and then it also has this page on there. If you want to get a vaccine, you can also make that noted as well.
All right. Thank you again, Alicia. And thank you for what you do in our communities. You are appreciated.
Okay. And then the other thing, if you do show up and you have not registered, you will be required to do so prior to entry.
Okay, but you don't know where to go unless you register. But
you won't know where to go, but you just showed them.
Well, thank you again. Coming up next, we're going to be airing the press briefing from Dr. Jeffrey Duchin about the latest updates on COVID-19 mask mandates going back into place for gatherings of over 500 outdoors. Some things are changing. And so we'll give you the latest information. We'll be back with Dr. Jeffrey Duchin and this press briefing on COVID-19 and the current changes in the mandates right after this.
Well, thank you, Tony.